Set in a village named Berk, we follow a Viking named Hiccup Haddock who cannot really become a Viking due to the way he looks physically. One day, he has an opportunity to show the people of Berk and his father, who is the chief known as Stoic Navast, to show that he is capable of hunting dragons just like everyone on Berk. But they do not believe him due to the dragon that they shot down, being a Night Fury, was way, way, way off the coast. So, in an attempt to prove them wrong, he looks for this Night Fury, and he has wet feet. He then lets it free and questions if they should really kill dragons. And from there, he meets the very same Night Fury, naming it Toothless, and learns from it by training it. And now, Hiccup has to figure out how to bring the peace between dragons and Vikings together. So, this movie is like one of the best films I've watched in my childhood. Like, this was in a time where every animated film that was coming out as a kid, I needed to watch. Madagascar 2, needed to watch it. B-Movie, needed to watch it. Cars, needed to watch it. Tangled, needed to watch it. You basically get the point. And How to Train Your Dragon was no different. And I was obsessed as soon as I got a DVD of that movie because I was never really going to watch it in theaters, but I still loved it. I watched this movie to death. I would watch it every time I come home from school. I would watch it every time I wake up on the weekends. I would literally find the opportunity in time to watch the movie and never get tired of it. Of course, there are times where you watch a movie you like a lot and then get tired of it and then never watch it again until you feel like you need to watch it again. So the overall story is actually really great. It's the typical main character wants to be something and makes a difference in the world but can't because of who or what they are. And Hiccup is exactly that main character. He isn't given the opportunity or chance to actually be a Viking unless he fights like other Vikings. His idea is to basically be an engineer, or the first engineer ever to use tools that are mechanical to take down dragons, but can't because, well, that's not Viking. And when he does get the chance to use the mechanics that he has made, people still don't think he can do what he can do. All he's ever wanted was to become a Viking and make his father proud, but there's always something going between them that causes them to not really exactly get together as father and son and become a Viking. And because of that, well, that is what holds him back even more. It's not that he wants to become a Viking, it's also his relationship with his father. He needs to fix both those problems as well, trying to prove to the people of Berk that he can become a Viking and prove to his father that he can be just like him. But in order to do that, he has to be a Viking. He can't be a unique Viking. He can't use tools or mechanics. He has to fight like them. And this is where we drift off from here to where he learns more about dragons. Over the course of the film, or at least mainly over the course of the first act, Hiccup seems to learn more and more about dragons to the point that, is there really a point to taking down dragons? Is it possible to actually just train them? Are they really the monsters that they grew up to hate and kill just because? And, well, he actually does discover that truth through Toothless. He feeds it. He learns about Toothless's nature. He learns about his habitat. He learns about how Toothless lives as a dragon and finds out that they're not the monsters that kill anything that isn't a dragon. And over the course of the movie, he learns more and more to the point where he just knows that Toothless and all the other dragons aren't monsters. They're animals, sure, but they're not monsters. They're just as harmless as any other animal in the world. And over the course of the movie, he not only learns more about dragons, but he also learns how to take them down without actually hurting them by training Toothless. He even goes out of his way to make it to where Toothless can fly again by giving him a tail that allows him to do so, due to the fact that after shooting down Toothless, he also ripped off a fin on his tail, causing him to be flightless. And I actually love the development that these two go on. This isn't the typical boy meets dog and these two become best friends. This is like the typical best friend story, because even though Toothless is a dragon, is an animal, there's more to him than just being a dragon. This dragon has emotions that seems human-like. And I know that's not really the point here, but the more you think about Toothless and Hiccup's relationship over the course of the whole franchise, it's more than just a boy and his dragon. It's a boy and his best friend. It's a dragon and his best friend. It's always been that throughout the entirety of the entire franchise, not just this movie alone. And I do actually love the development that all the characters go on. Garber has like this tough love father figure towards Hiccup where he wants him to be a Viking too, but the way that he perceives himself as a Viking, the way Hiccup perceives himself as a Viking gets in the way of that, and all Garber has trying to do is do what Stoic never did and tell him what he needs to do to become a Viking. He tells him to stop being himself and just be like all the other Vikings. And although when you first watch it, you see it as tough love, well, that is actually true. Gobber gives him tough love because he does care about Hiccup deep down. And even though he does give him snarky remarks, it's still just playful banter. And then there's Astrid, who is basically Hiccup's love interest and crush. Yeah, when you first watch the movie, you don't really like her demeanor, but then as the film goes on, you seem to like her development. She doesn't have a lot of development, but she does come off as someone who wants to be basically a normal everyday Viking, but she trains hard to be the best Viking in this new generation of Vikings that will be basically a part of this war between Vikings and dragons. But with Hiccup being so curious about dragons now all of a sudden during their training, that gets in the way of it. And I really do love the scene where she's like, "Is this a joke to you? Our parents' war is about to become ours. Pick a side." And I do get her struggles. And from there, as the montage of Hiccup training Toothless and learning how to defeat dragons without hurting them, her jealousy towards Hiccup comes into play, and after he becomes the Viking to take down the monster's nightmare, her development gets even more better, where she just wants to know how is he so good at this. And it is amazing because of how she finally found out where Hiccup disappears every day and finally learns the truth. She knows that dragons, just like Hiccup, dragons aren't monsters, they're animals, they have feelings. But she still comes into this conflict where, well, it's not her conflict, but it's more like she's worried about Hiccup, as tomorrow he has to fight the monster's nightmare, which seems to be right now in this part of the film the most dangerous dragon that Burke has ever faced, aside from Toothless. But I guess it makes sense considering that seemingly Toothless doesn't really attack every time. It seems like he attacks every so often. But right now, the focus is on him, as the day that he fights the monster's nightmare is the day that he finally tries to bring an end to it all. And it fails due to Stoic's anger towards him for not choosing to be a Viking like everyone else, which leads to the monster's nightmare, or Hookfang, attacking him. And Toothless from far away hears the danger and tries to run towards him. And I really love how the truth reveal comes into play. He comes in, he fights Hookfang, and he tries to fight the Vikings, but then it's when Stoic runs towards him where he wants to take him down first. And this is where their friendship falls apart, but not really. And everything comes into play as Hiccup and Stoic has a father-son confrontation. And once he figures out that Toothless can find the island, Hiccup tries to tell him, but he just doesn't listen. He never listened, and tells Hiccup that he's not only a Viking, he's also not his son. And Hiccup comes to the realization as to why he wouldn't kill Toothless when he found him. He looked at him and he saw himself, and he didn't want to be what a Viking was supposed to be. And this was when he was going to go on a mission to not only save Toothless, but all the Vikings of Burke going to fight the Red Death. And then we go over to the rest of the group where Fishlegs is just a dragon nerd, which I have to admit, I really do love all of the scenes. I love how obnoxious that Snotlout is. I love how the twins bicker at each other. I love their overall development, and it's just amazing. And then we go to the final fight where Hiccup and the others go to the Dragon Island to save everyone. And yeah, I actually like this scene. I just wish that Snotlout and Fishlegs didn't lose their dragons. I mean, I know why they lost their dragons, but I wish they didn't. I wish they actually had their dragons more. But it's all good. It's all good. I still like the final battle overall. I even liked when Stoic finally saves Toothless and Hiccup when they were in the water, and says that he was proud to call him his son. And when you hear that, you know that he's telling the truth. He isn't lying. He's not saying it to motivate Hiccup. He's saying it genuinely. He's saying it from the heart, and that's what I love the most about it. And then the final battle between Toothless and Hiccup and the Red Death. which I found out was actually a girl, but that's kind of hard to see. Well, to unknow now, but anyway, they fight her, they go up in the air, and there are a lot of things that I saw in this movie that I didn't notice while watching as growing up as a kid, and apparently as an adult, I now understand it even more. So I always wondered, how did the Red Death have holes in her wings? And it's apparent that Toothless was actually shooting plasma blasts at her wing, giving her holes so that when she uses them, they would tear apart and then she would fall and explode. I also don't understand how her whole body exploded, but I'll just go ahead and say that it's just because she's not fireproof from the inside, as evident from the time that Toothless shot a fire shot in the Terrible Terror's mouth. And either way, it was actually still a really amazing fight scene. I really loved the defeat. And then everyone accepts him, and everyone sees that Hiccup sees that everyone is riding dragons, but not before he saw that he lost his leg during the fight. It was an emotional scene. You don't really see this a lot in animated movies, and when you do, it's not as big as the main character losing an arm or a leg. If it's like an injury where he keeps the black eye till the end of the movie, where he still has it, it's usually a gone again, and it's soon revealed that it's not a major or permanent injury, something in that nature. And Hiccup goes out to see that everyone is riding dragons. Everyone has accepted him. He became Burke's hero for bringing together dragons and Vikings as they all ride the dragons together. And that's what I love the most about How to Train Your Dragon. It's one of the films that questions the status quo, where the main character questions the way things are and was willing to do anything to change it after knowing the truth of the way that things are. And I love the development of all the characters. If I had to bring up some that I liked the most, it was always Hiccup, Stoic, Astrid, Gobber. All four of them have always been my favorite characters in the whole movie, and their development has always been amazing. And it's just amazing how this film comes together after watching it for so long. Like, I haven't watched How to Train Dragon for a really long time, and it's just amazing to finally watch it again just to get ready for the remake that came out recently. So I just love this movie. So I'm going to give the story a 9 out of 10 because there are some things I love about the story, but there are some that happens that still kind of contradict how I feel about the movie in general. But overall, it was still pretty good, and I'll give the movie itself a 10 out of 10.